Hello, everyone. Dr. Victoria Skirbo here, speaking to you from the Seeds of Transformation Healing Center in Wareham, Massachusetts. I am here with my one and only Ona. Hi, Ona.
How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good,
You look
considering.
good. You look good. There's no glitches in your halo today. I like it.
Well, I still might get a little psychedelic because I think my camera might be doing some weird things. So if I look weird, well, if I look weirder than I do, it's
We'll
probably
see. You know what? Mercury changed signs, so maybe that
yes,
that Warhol effect, which was actually kind of cool.
kind of cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting you should bring up Mercury going into Aries
Yeah.
because but in the pre-call we were talking about how this energy is so like it's rolling out, like the Aries energy is rolling out, right? So we're going to talk about the new moon in Aries, but before we get to the new moon in Aries, we have Mercury moving into Aries, and then we have the sun in Aries, and then the next day we have the new moon in Aries. So and everything is happening in that first degree of Aries. Even the new moon, even though it's not on the same day as the sun moving into Aries, it hasn't made it to the next degree of Aries. So everything is in that first degree of Aries, which the Sabian symbol is a woman emerging from the sea, embracing a seal. And it's about the rise of consciousness out of the great cosmic sea. And of course, the great cosmic sea would be Pisces.
Yeah. Which the moon is in right now.
Which the moon is in. Yes. As we enter the spring here in the northern hemisphere and the fall in the southern hemisphere, the moon is balsamic to the sun. So this particular change of season, we're still connected in a certain way to the winter through the moon's connection. So there are still, I think, things that are going to be tied up in this, not just this new moon cycle, right? But I think the seasonal cycle between now and when the sun moves into Cancer.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff, and there's a lot of things that can happen between then and now because there's a lot of astrological tension, especially in May that's coming up. But we're not going to talk about that today, but it's still, we're coming to a choice point. And of course, as we approach this time, Pluto in the sky, which is still in Capricorn, is square the nodes of the moon. And once it moves into Aquarius on the 23rd, it's going to be squaring the nodes of the moon in the fixed signs. Right now, the nodes of the moon are fixed and Pluto is cardinal. But once it moves into that fixity of Aquarius, it's going to create a lot of tension and something is going to have to break.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact. But there's a lot of different things we talked about with this new moon. I'm going to just pull it up. Is that all right with you?
Yeah.
I'm going to pull up the new moon. And because we've talked about it, and I'll pull it up and you can comment on it as
there's a lot of energy in Aries, Chiron, Jupiter, Mercury, the sun, the moon. I'm sure there's a handful of asteroids that are just putting down their stamp on everything too. So, and this is energy that stimulates the mental nerves too. We were talking about that, and that's where you might feel like you're looking for your glasses and they're on top of your head and you put them on, but it still feels like they're on top of your head and you're whacking stuff away from you. I feel like it's a lot of that energy too, because it's kind of coming at you.
Right. And sometimes when you feel like things, like sometimes you feel like something on your nose and you want to rub it, or you feel like things that's the etheric web.
Yeah.
And because Pisces is kind of like the place for the etheric web, quite frankly. We're sensing things. Maybe you're seeing things. Maybe you're seeing things out of the side of your eye. Maybe you're sensing it. Maybe you could even be sitting in your room and then you turn around because you feel like there's somebody behind you and there's nobody there. There's a and I think this is in part due to actually Saturn moving into Pisces.
Yeah.
Saturn moving into Pisces, allowing the etheric more space in the physical world. So we're sensing that. So there's that, which is separate from, well, not really separate, but certainly not the same thing as what we're going to talk about today. But that's also something I think we can look at. But a lot of Aries energy.
Yeah.
And then of course Mars, right? You have to look to see where Mars is, because Mars is the ruling planet of Aries. And we find it, of course, in Gemini. It's been in Gemini since August.
Yeah.
But now it's moving direct and it's out of its shadow. So this is in a way, sort of the full force of that Mars, everything that we've gone over. And you think about all the things that have happened between the end of August, all the things that have come out about Trump and the law and the legal stuff, and all these legal things sort of like coming like an avalanche at him.
Oh, honey, I can write a song. My mom died, my dog died. This is stuff that's happened since August, right?
Well, me too. My
Write a
dog
country
didn't die.
song,
My dog died before, but yeah, my mom. I mean,
right?
a lot of yes, a lot of endings, right? And then
Yes.
new beginnings. Endings,
Yes.
new beginnings.
Yes. So yeah. So reflective on that time period between August and now, and it's taking its final bow, right? And Mars will then just put its bathing suit on, I guess, and jump into Cancer.
That's right. That's right. So when we have oh, this is the ingress, or this isn't even the new moon. Sorry, I'm let's
I
just
didn't
keep
even
going.
notice. I was counting all the planets
Right? Here we
and
go.
I
Here's
actually
the
have
new
it in
moon.
front of me.
Here's the new moon. And okay, so what we were looking at, I'll go back just to point out, what we were looking at was actually the equinox. You're going to be doing an overmancy today, right?
Yeah. Yep. I got that chart.
I'm so excited about that. I love your overmancy.
Yep.
So the sun, so the sun ingress into 1 degree of Aries today. A woman just risen from the sea, a seal embracing her. If we go to the new moon, which is happening tomorrow on the 21st, we're still at that 1st degree of Aries. We haven't moved into the next degree. And so the symbol is that same symbol of the woman coming out of the sea. Says, I have here Mars, the ruler of Aries. The Aries new moon is at 29 degrees of Gemini.
Yeah.
The symbol for the 29 degrees of Gemini is the first mockingbird of spring. The creative exuberance of the human soul in response to basic life experiences. What is presented to us symbolically is the reaction of the individual who has become sensitive to many life currents in his environment and who is able to externalize this well-upping response as a gift to his society, displaying virtuosity. So this is about all your experiences that you've had and being able to sing your song. It's interesting, yesterday morning when I went out, when I was actually not when I went out, when I heard this racket outside my door. And I looked and there were 2 wrens sitting on my side porch singing their heads off. Just,
Oh, they were singing. I thought they were yelling at each other.
well, they might have been. I mean, who am I to decide whether they're yelling at each other or singing? But they definitely had something to say. And I think that this symbol, although it's not a wren, but wrens are known actually for you to sing your song. Wrens are very small and but very mighty. They have a mighty voice. I mean, they're this big and they sound, I mean, they're as loud as anything that you'll hear out there, right? Of the small birds. So it's symbol of, no matter how small you may feel or maybe insignificant in the grand scheme of things,
Yeah.
voice matters. Your voice matters. And I think this symbol also describes that your voice matters. And of course, with Mars in Gemini, wouldn't what you have to say matter? Right? Of course, the vibration of the day is the Five of Wands. So chances are there'll be some argumentation, but
Well, there they are, all in Aries, all 5 wands. Sun, the moon, Mercury, like, right?
Yep.
So each one has an adjustment period, I guess, to go through for this day, and just kind of honor that. It's intense. This is an intense new moon.
Well, if you look at what's going on with Mars in the chart, it's in conjunct Pluto. So this is about making adjustments. In conjunction about making adjustments. This particular one has a Virgo vibe. So it's about perfecting your story, perfecting your voice, perfecting, having to sort of it's not exact, it's like what you say, but it has to go through a process of adjustment, so to speak. And of course, this particular card, the fives in the tarot on the tree of life, sit in the place where you have to make adjustments. Gabora, it's the Sephiroth of severity. It's where you have to be aligned with your highest aspirations, your highest a lot is expected when you're in Gabora. You have to hold a very high sort of quality of energy, because anything less than that will come back at you. So you kind of have to really, be your best to borrow from Melania, be your best self. So I bet you she's not having a good time these days, but that's another reading.
I think she's just on the countdown until she can escape, right? I think Baron is very close to legal age, right?
I think so. I think it's like
she's
19,
close
20.
she
maybe.
just take big X on the calendar. Countdown.
Yeah, her and Baron off into the great beyond there.
So what's interesting about the Sabian symbol, we were just talking about it, I'm like, did I read this already? Because it says, symbolically is the reaction of the individual who has become sensitive to the many life currents in his environment. And we were just talking about how currents
Yes,
are making their way to,
and I think that's in a way made stronger by Saturn in Pisces, because Saturn makes things real, and Pisces can be all of this like phantasmagorical stuff. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to stay like, how do I want to put this? If you're investing your energy into a certain, or your mental energy, your emotional energy, what are you focusing on, right? Aries is all about the I am, right? So at a certain point, this is a rebirth of self, right? With this new moon, and also the birth of consciousness, if we look at it through the lens of the Sabian symbol. So what consciousness do you want to bring in? And in order to do that, we have to be very aware of all the different, how did you call them? You used a word.
Psychic air tags.
Psychic air tag. Yeah. So my
like psychic trackers, like a GPS tracker, something that is giving you, that is a negative intent if you're trying to track somebody, and it's plugging into your field,
Right.
Yeah.
So it's about cleansing the field. You want to try to get as much, you want to try to be as purely, in a way, have psychically, like just,
and
that would be burning, right? I've been
Aries, fire.
so that's something you might want to have a little, well, most people have a candle on their thing, but like maybe like even a teeny weeny bonfire of some sort. It's something. Don't burn your house down. We're not telling you to do that, but a little burn would be good. And then I've been recently burning a lot of mugwort. I find that helpful. In fact,
you know what, even if you are you feel like, well, I don't have a cauldron, what do I do? If you heat some herbs in just on the
Frying pan.
stove
Yeah.
and make rice, and while you're heating it, do your intention work
Right.
into the, and then, make some rice with it. So but the idea is, I think, because of the Aries fire sign, is that heat's the element that's sort of highlighted. Yeah, I can get in the
It's interesting the lack of water in this chart, right? The only thing in water at this point is Neptune and Pisces. But
Yeah.
then Mars is going to move into Cancer at the end of the week. And it's going to trine Saturn. The trine, that happens next week. The trine to Saturn, this will be the third of 3 of Mars to Saturn. And this is the only one in water. The first 2 were in air, Aquarius,
Okay.
Gemini. This last one, and this has to do with the fact that Mars was retrograde for that time.
Yeah.
But the fact that the trine, which is an energy that you can't hold back the energy. It's like the river that's rushing. In water, if there is fire, I think water is going to come in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's and fire and water as elementally, when you see it in a chart, either astrologically or via the numerology and the Kabbalah, is a spiritual initiation. So we're definitely going through a spiritual initiation. And you can see here that Pluto is square the nodes. Oh, and let's not forget that today,
That's
actually,
interesting.
we're
That
doing
mirrors like the whole sweat lodge sort of idea. Maybe that's a good idea,
I would do a sweat lodge before the new moon.
right?
As
Yeah.
as a preparation. I mean, but that's a big deal. So
Yeah.
even just a steam shower, just get in the shower and steam
Yeah.
it up, and or a hot tub or a hot bath. That might be something, that maybe a nice hot bath before you do the new moon, because the new moon isn't until tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you have a little time. I mean, we're kind of doing this at the like right. People are like, oh no, I gotta take a bath, but
You know what? And then also it gives for a shortcut. And when I've had upper respiratory infections, or my kid, is I'd fill up the sink with really hot water and put a towel over it and just stick my head between the towel and
Yep.
inhale whatever oil I had in there. I would put lavender for whatever, or something that I wanted to, before the Pedi Pods came out.
Right.
I sort of kind of inhaled the steam of the oil. If you can't.
I would do that with eucalyptus. Like if I
Yeah.
had if you're a mucus member, and I don't know about your mucus membranes, which is kind of a personal question, but mine have been very irritated.
Yes.
Everything seems very irritating to my skin, to my membranes. And I think that I'm not the only one experiencing this.
Yeah. I think the Mercury going into Aries is a contributory factor, because I think it's making us clear our communication, and it's been in Pisces. So there's some like phlegmatic
Phlegm.
leftovers.
It's so funny, I don't take
Plasma.
I don't take over-the-counter medicine very often. I take herbs and I take vitamins and things like that. But this morning I woke up and I took a Mucinex because I felt like I needed to like cleanse the snot. I don't know.
It's that much spraying is hitting you that hard. It's like, right? An acute layer of spraying.
All the sneezing, and at our age, sneezing other things can happen.
I hurt my back. I told you I was filling my pepper jar, my crushed pepper jar. Like this was like on Friday. Oh God. And I ended up like sneezing like 25 times. Oh God. And then like that last one, I sneezed, I coughed, and I was turning for something, and it just went south after that. But I've been trying to massage it and be better about my posture. And I finished pieces that I didn't have to lean over so much. And that was making it bad too, but that same spot, you're like, damn.
Yeah.
So yeah, for sure. I
So
love this new moon though. This is going to be really, really interesting to see what happens. I think part of the thing is to document what's going on. Your headspace is going to be pretty activated.
right.
Right?
And of course, documenting the 3 months that Pluto, a little less than that, actually, Pluto is in Aquarius, important, just to kind of get a taste of what Pluto in Aquarius over the next 22 years is going to be like.
Really, they're occurring so close together.
We're in
You
a big
know,
shift. I mean, we're definitely shifting out of an old paradigm into a new one. But you know,
yeah,
when you're in a new paradigm, you don't, it's like going to a city that you don't know where all the streets are and
yeah,
how to get around. It's going to take some you know, some what's the word, trial and error to figure out how best to navigate this time. I think the only thing that I would say is that trust in spirit, that spirit's going to take you where you need to go, because
yeah,
sometimes you don't have to do anything, you just have to sort of like almost, I wouldn't say throw up your hands, but
yeah.
certainly we don't, at this point I feel like we're along for the ride, so to speak. And you know, we'll see where it takes us, but
Yeah.
we're living in interesting times, Miss Ona.
I know. It's gonna be, I think everything is gonna look so different so soon. It's also, actually, I wrote down as I'm writing notes, sometimes I'm doing stuff and I'll come back and I write notes. Or we'll text something and there's a little synchronicity and I'll write it down. It's the first day of Ramadan. If we have, if you're celebrating, so that's kind of cool. I know the pastries are very cool. So I get some of those. And the song is Come Together. Remember?
Come together right now over me. I think that was the song that they did after they met. Who was it? Who was their spiritual leader? Do you remember?
I see him in his orange gown and I can't remember. I would have to
The Maharishi?
Yeah,
Was it Maharishi, I think?
I think that's in the name, Maharishi something.
Something, yeah. Well, the Maharishi. That's,
Yeah, I don't want to.
I'm glad I remembered that.
I don't, but the idea of Indian food has come up more than once. This would be
We had keema muta last night, Indian food. Michael made Indian food with lamb, no less. So it was, so that's very springy. It's very Aries.
Yes.
Lamb last night.
Yes. So as we go into this season and we're about to, start the new moon on an astrological new year, really. Isn't it
Yes.
International Astrology Day?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
There's so much stuff to celebrate.
With Pluto going into Aquarius, you're going to see much more astrology. You're going to see astrology. Watch, you're going to see astrology on CNN and MSNBC soon. We'll see.
Yes. I noticed there's the local news that I watch when they show the days or the week ahead and the temperature and if it's going to rain. There is one girl in the morning who does the weather that shows the moon phases also in those little slides. And I'm like, that's interesting.
I know. See,
so
now we have to look for it, but soon it'll be right in our faces.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you guys will be ahead of the game because we talk astrology twice a month at least, if not every day when we talk to each other.
We're a little bit more woke maybe than some, but yes, get used to that for sure.
I mean, what is woke anyway? Woke just means that you're aware.
Mhm.
You're aware of more than you've been told.
Open,
You have
open-minded.
you have to dig for the information, because the information isn't just there. You have to find a way to look, or even just walk in other people's moccasins. That's what woke means to me.
Yeah,
And I like being awakened.
me too.
Hasn't been easy.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that you have a perfect, life, live stream, like everything's just going. No, that's not the
No,
way.
you know what? It's not easy. It's easier to live in a bubble and, you
Until
know,
the bubble breaks, and then you're
yeah,
screwed.
and take it hard. That's a hard fall.
Yes.
And then gently, you got to open up. I think that's part of what our generation is a little bit about too, is to help neutralize, open up, and to be progressive and allow that to happen instead of sort of rigid thinking, scheduled stuff that we grew up with. Like school is virtual now. I
I
can
think,
get a PhD online,
well,
and I want me to.
what I think that our generation, and I can speak of the Pluto and Virgo generation, and of course, Pluto and Uranus came together in Virgo in the middle 60s, right? So there's that energy that is manifesting itself now. We're being tested with that energy, but um, Virgo is a transitional energy, and so it really is from the I am of Leo, or the I will of Leo, I should say, to the we are of Libra. We have this generation of souls with Pluto and Virgo, and I think that we are a way of staying connected to what has come before, and yet also connected to what we need to do in the future in order to survive and thrive. And we have to get along, right?
Yeah.
Libra, we have to stand in and agree on certain things. And that's kind of, and then of course we have the Pluto and Libra generation that will bring that forward. The Pluto in Virgo, people like Barack Obama and Kamala Harris, and who else is in that generation? Adam Schiff, Katie Porter. I
Yeah.
think she might be Virgo, or she could be Libra. I can't remember when she was born, but that generation of and the Pluto and Libras are people like Zelensky. Zelensky has Pluto and Libra. So we're seeing the changing sort of the power structures. I thought maybe I would read the Hopi prophecy today
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
this. So let me read it out loud. And just coming up here. So this is from the elders of the Hopi Nation, Orab, Ora, Ora, oh God, Orai Ibi. Sorry about that. Arizona, June 8th, 2000, says, to my fellow swimmers, here is a river flowing now very fast. It is so great and swift that there are those who will be afraid, who will try to hold on to the shore. They are being torn apart and will suffer greatly. No, the river has its destination. The elders say we must let go of the shore, push off into the middle of the river, and keep our head above water. Honestly, I think that's what we've been doing.
Yeah.
And I say, see who is there with you and celebrate. Hi, Ona, I'm celebrating with you. At this time in history, we are to take nothing personally, least of all ourselves. For the moment that we do, our spiritual growth and journey comes to a halt. The time of the lone wolf is over. Gather yourselves, banish the word struggle from your attitude and your vocabulary. All that we do now must be done in a sacred manner and in celebration, for we are the ones we've been waiting for.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good mantra for
Yeah.
this Aries new moon. Nobody's gonna, I think one of the reasons why I think Trump was meant to happen, honestly, but one of the things that he promised was that he could fix it all. He could save us from whatever, you know, ourselves or whatever. But of course, that's an illusion. And when he was elected, Neptune was on the south node. So it's an illusion from the past that we had to realize is wrong, and or is what it is, an illusion that like nobody, like it's not, it doesn't take a single person, it takes everybody together.
Yeah.
And that's and he has really in his way united a lot of people to a singular purpose. And so not everybody is going to be on the grand jury, but we can all, you know, in our own lives decide, you know, what is it that we want to put forth, what, you know, really look at ourselves, you know, really.
Yeah, that's the Aries new moon right there.
It's the I am.
Mm-hmm.
So declare yourself, I am.
Yep.
I am.
Yeah.
I am a spark of the divine. I am love. I am peace. I am kindness. Whatever it is that you want to be, declare it at this.
And your intentions and your, you know, whatever you're cooking.
Right.
Interesting.
I would include, what crystals did you mention the crystals that you?
I did. I got green aventurine. So green, it's pretty, you know, and honestly, anything that's green. This is the vernal equinox.
I know.
It's green.
Well,
Anything
here anyway.
green to get that note, that heart chakra note into your field, right? Even if you do like this, you know, I like to do that kind of thing. And then I was listening to George Harrison, Here Comes the Sun, and a bloodstone card flipped out, which is really an old absorptive stone known for absorbing toxins from the body kind of thing, right?
It's also that green color which connects to the heart chakra.
It's the
flecked with red, which is the Aries energy. So it's perfect.
And classically, historically, and this is what's important, is known to be carved into things like scarabs.
Like my scarab.
And you just pulled that up today, right?
I did. I said, what should I wear around my neck? I should wear the scarab, which is a symbol of rebirth. And this one actually is from Egypt. And we think it might be bone. We've sort of decided it might be bone. I'm not exactly sure what they use, but there's actually carving on the back of the baboon god, which is the god, was his Thoth, which is the writing.
Yes.
So write it down, guys.
Write it down.
The old-fashioned
document. Yeah.
Use your perfect Palmer penmanship to write it down.
Yes. Yes.
Or your non-perfect Palmer penmanship, if you happen to be too young to know what the hell I'm talking about.
Yeah, that's what I got for new moon. So interesting. So cool. So being careful about everything too, you know, just watch. I think words can go flying south pretty quick.
I think things that maybe are better not said in some cases. You can think it, you don't have to say it. But if you want to say it, make sure that you can back it up and you're willing to take the consequence of what you say. I think that's probably, and that goes along with the 31-4 vibration of the day, the being in Gabura, the place of instant karma. So it does matter. It does matter what you say.
Accountability. These words are all starting to pop in. Yeah, it's all about that. Yeah.
Well, if we want to have the world that we want to have, we have to be responsible for it. And accountability goes along with responsibility. And we don't have to be responsible for somebody else's idea of what it should be. We have to come to our own sort of sensibility about that. And how does that fit into the grand scheme? Because like what we want to do may not jibe with the structures that are there already, but the structures are changing. I mean, Pluto's moving into Aquarius. It's going to spend time in Aquarius a little bit, then go back into Capricorn. And Pluto is about transformation and change. So things are going to change in the power structures and the powers things. But if we don't have that much power to do anything about that, except the only power we really have is what we do with ourselves. And if we can foster that sense of peace and that sense of purpose, right, in our lives, that spreads out like a virus, really, but a happy virus, right? A happy virus that inspires other people to be their authentic selves. And we can move away from all this argumentation over maybe things that don't really matter, and start working on the things that do. No. I would also include a redstone, maybe. I was thinking Jasper. Jasper
That's
is
what I was thinking was gonna pop up. I'm like, where the redstone? I guess bloodstone,
well,
thanks.
bloodstone has that energy, and I would add maybe a Jasper, maybe a Carnelian. Carnelian is a and a lot of cabochons or a lot of carved pieces are carved out of carnelian. So if you have that and that's a warrior stone. Carnelian is a warrior stone, and I believe bloodstone and carnelian were both in the breastplate of the high priest in according to the Bible. So I think those are two stones I know carnelian is, and I believe bloodstone was as well. So
Interesting.
Guard ourselves, like protect yourselves, people. Protect yourselves, because the energy, this is an unstable time, and people who are on the verge of falling off whatever platform they might be on, metaphorically, metaphysically, mentally, emotionally, there's going to be a lot of people, and breakdowns are usually breakthroughs. So you don't necessarily want to be around somebody, if you can help it, who maybe, not, of course, certainly if there's somebody in your life that you want to help through that, that's another story. But I'm just talking about going
watch
out.
the intake, because somebody could be slipping you a psychic air tag. And your own Aries cluster thing that's happened here can go into, just a rabbit hole.
You also would want to consider where Aries is in your chart. Where is that first degree of Aries in your chart, and how that might affect you? It's in your 10th house, isn't it?
Yeah, it's in my 10th house, and my moon is at 20.
Yeah, that Aries is in my 8th house, which is the house of death and rebirth. So we'll see how I do. Next time you see me, I might look completely different. Or not. But I'll be different on the inside, where it counts.
It's actually already happened in the room that you're, recreating and remodeling, the transformation. And as this unfolds, you'll have the best part, which is the decoration and what you really want to project onto the walls and stuff. So
right.
I'm excited. Full time.
Yeah, I'm excited about
it.
All right. Well, I think we covered everything we wanted to cover, right? Don't miss Ona's Ovomancy, which is coming out later today. And everybody be careful out there. Have a wonderful new moon in Aries, a blessed spring, or a blessed fall if you happen to be on the other side of the world. The light is growing here, the light is ebbing there. And so the journey around the sun continues, and we'll be here for it for as long as we can, and for as long as you can tolerate us. Thank you for coming, Ona. It's been a real joy.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you. And go Mars. Go Mars.
Be your Mars self.
That's who's the director of this show. Right?
All right, everyone, have a wonderful spring, and we'll see you next month for moon shadows, new moon in actually the next new moon is in Aries. It's at the last degree of Aries. So it will be a very
There's
interesting new
two of
moon.
them.
Yes, two
Well,
new moons
very
in
important to
Aries.
keep a record of what's happening in between these two Aries new moons.
Right. Aries is about new stuff. It's about new things sprouting up. So pay attention, folks. Pay attention.
Yeah.
All right, everyone.
Cool.
Namaste. We love you.
Bye-bye, guys.